let them know how I felt. They told me, you gotta take it to city council. You gotta go to the court. Now, this is what I be trying to tell them. They all related. All of them are in-laws, outlaws, uncles, nephews, because white people are all related. And they got these things together. You know, we say masonry, but white people are really all family. And when you try to put yourself in that family or think that you are accepted by them, then that's when you mistaken, because they always got that secret organization under the surface where you're not included. It doesn't matter what position that this devil will put you in, his social equality. He never accepts you. Because the slave is not equal to the master. And we go through these things day in and day out, day in and day out. And I just think it's a shame when our own kind begin to hate those of us who try to stand, and especially come into our leading teacher's name, we're hated in his name's sake. And the same vicious names that they call my leading teacher, they call his followers the same thing. No matter how we come up on LambTales and try to discuss different issues for you, to enlighten you, you go around and say, GrandDaddy ShabazzAllah preaches hate. GrandDaddy ShabazzAllah is un-American. GrandDaddy ShabazzAllah is anti-white. And all these vicious things you say about, these are my own people saying this. Not white people. These are so-called black people that talk this way. And I just think that it's terrible for them to speak in a manner that I'm preaching hate, and I'm just trying to hold fast to the message that was delivered here in the wilderness of North America by the last messenger of God.
That's right.
And a beautiful Muslim brother visited me this morning, and I was so happy. Like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he said, when you meet the true followers of the messenger of God, it's like meeting a lost, long member of your family. And it was just a good feeling meeting this brother I'm meeting, Shabazz. And I hope in the future that I can bring the brother up on the show so he can enlighten all of us with his program and the positivity things that he's doing in the Commonwealth States for the youth. And to that brother, I hope I see you in this room, my brother. And you just made me feel real good in this long battle for freedom, justice, and equality. It just made me feel good to see you after so many of us have went our different ways. There's so many of us hypocrites, traitors. None of us would even be where we are if it didn't be for the teachings of the last messenger of God. We didn't know anything about Islam until the coming of the Son of Man in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad. Even in these religious institutions, they talk against the name Shabazz. They say bombastic things about the name Shabazz. And it was Shabazz that produced our Savior, Master Prophet Muhammad, to whom all praise be forever. I come to you every week and I tell you, I said the grandfather is the oldest one in the house. All you religious scholars, whoever, whatever you study, you know there's no one in the house older than the grandfather. And if you would study that for a moment and realize the highest form of life is man, and the greatest pleasure that we can conceive is life itself. And if the grandfather is the oldest one in the house, your common sense will tell you that Almighty God Allah is out of that family. This is truth and fact. Right, exactly. I have a phone call online too. LambTales.
I just wanted to get support. You know, I support your show. I watch it every Thursday night.
Yes, ma'am.
You do preach the truth. and I do listen to you. And I have a lot of love for y'all, I have a lot of support, and that's all I want to say. Bye-bye.
So long. Thank you very much. Very inspiring. Glad to hear that. All praises be to Allah, the King and Prince of Master Fard Muhammad. Brother Minister, you know, what really makes me feel so bad, you know, and I think I've spoken with you today, you know, a lot of times, these different things that have been taking place all around the universe, like earthquakes, and cyclones, and hurricanes, and I mean these vicious earthquakes that seem so far away from America, not knowing how to bring the messages together. They don't realize that those are messages too. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad tries to explain to us that when they say earthquake, that really means the whole earth. But naturally, when those big earthquakes that's far away take place, well, naturally, us being over here in America, we don't really feel it like those who get caught up in that calamity. Sometimes calamity is a blessing in disguise. And what I want to say is that those are just small shakes because they really haven't reached America. But if we continue to do the things that we do, and I'm speaking directly to our people, the American so-called Negroes, knowing no Arabs, no type of Orthodox Sunni, Ahmadiyya, whatever sect they belong to, ever came to teach the so-called Negro anything until the holy apostle came and was raised from amongst us. And I also want to say, this is why I have so much respect for the Chinaman. The Chinaman will not let anyone come and say anything about Buddha and him and Buddha. They look just alike. And I respect that Chinaman. And I also respect the white man of America because he's not going to come let any of you take him away from that white Jesus that looks like him and all his family. And the Arabs, I respect them because Prophet Muhammad was an Arab like unto themselves. He was in Islam, so I can understand them wanting to be a follower of Prophet Muhammad. But now what puzzles me is when the true and living God bless us to have a divine message raised from amongst us. And you know, for them 40 years that the holy apostle taught, he always used to say, almost in every speech, he said, how strong is your foundation? And the reason why he said that, he knew that if you didn't have a strong foundation, someone would come and try to trick you out your life. And all these so-called Negroes that you see in America, now I'm only speaking of the so-called American Negro because that's what I am. And regardless of them putting on foreign clothes, kufi, Arab attire, I just want them to know that GrandDaddy Shabazz knows another so-called Negro when he sees one. Regardless of how good you practice your Arabic, or however you may practice your salat, or whatever you may think, trying to force yourself in another man's social equality, whether it be the Arab or what have you. You know, deep down in your heart, that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was raised from amongst you and I, and he looks like you and I, and you didn't know anything until he put you on the straight path and taught you everything you know. And after he taught you everything you know, you turned your back on him. And you went 9,000 miles to want to be an Arab. You want to act like you are above the last messenger of God with your old black ignorant self. All of y'all who act in that manner, you just look so ignorant when I see you. You sound so ignorant when I see you. And when people be talking about sins, you understand, if you stop praising the dead and dissing the true and living, we would all be together right now, but you're always praising the dead. Why, Tupac Shakur is more famous now than when he was living. Everybody's walking around playing the voice of a dead man. Everybody that they talk about is a dead man. Everybody they speak of. But yet when one is raised from our midst, bringing us life, giving, I want all of them to know, if they want to say, may the peace and blessings of Allah be on Prophet Muhammad, that doesn't bother me. Because I've never been out of America and I never knew Islam or anything till one was raised from amongst us, saved my life, speaking my language, brought Islam to me so that I would have a firm foundation and a thorough understanding of my God, which is the black man of Asia. And these things that we believe with all our heart and all our soul. Now, whether they want to slip into another person's social equality and call themselves Sunnis and Ahmadiyas and different names, that's all right with me. But I want them to know a hypocrite is anyone that came into the midst of us and saying that they believe, and now today they disbelieve. They can't expect me to look upon them as brothers. They can't expect me to feel in my heart anything good for them, because there's no love in my heart for a hypocrite. You understand? That's why we're in this terrible condition in the United States of America at this very moment while I speak. When the nation of Islam was all one, they had to respect us because we was in every state in the United States of America. One God and one messenger. Our name was all across the United States of America. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the only black man to ever set up a bank. He's the only black man that had a blueprint, put down money and had a diagram for a hospital for our people. You understand? He started the 3-year economical program for the so-called American Negroes here in the United States of America. And it doesn't matter about what their religion is or what they might practice. He taught us that we are all from the same tribe. The God tribe of Shabazz. This is what the Holy Apostle taught us. And he's our messenger. That's why he looks like us. As soon as one was raised from amongst us and Allah blessed us with a holy apostle, then them Arabs made themselves known. And here they come. That's not the right Islam. Oh, this is not right. That is not right. He's not doing this right. He's not doing that right. Yet, Ayatollah Khomeini lived in Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini said that the beast was in America. Ayatollah Khomeini and the teachers of the last messenger of God, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, were basically the same. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that if Prophet Muhammad knew in his day and time that the so-called American Negroes, the God tribe or the Godhead was over here, why, he would have came over here and gotten us himself. You understand what I'm saying? Yet, these so-called Negroes who's ashamed of being who they are want to bombast the teachings now, because those who the messenger trusted turned on him. But the messenger was all wise and knew from year one that he always had 10,000 students that was with him. He's the only man in the history of Islam as taught by Master Farad Muhammad that could look down in time and you see his work and his predictions happening every day. Every time you look up, this is not the teachings of the Sunni or anyone else. These so-called Negroes who turned hypocrite on our holy apostles should ask themselves, why all these Arabs over here in America?
Think about it.
They Uncle Tom. Why aren't you over in Arabia, in a Muslim country where they say La ilaha illallah, Muhammadan Rasulullah? Why aren't you over there? Why aren't you there, living amongst your own kind and not in America? They're in America, brother, because they're jealous of the God tribe of Shabazz. They bring all these different foreigners in America, and when they come in America to show you how the white man feels about us, he puts them where the so-called Negroes live. Puts them right in the plantations of America. And I want all these so-called Negroes that think it's fake to do what they're doing. I want them to know that God and the devil are going to be fighting all over the United States of America. It's not going to be what's happening in Watts. Why, it's going to be pandemonium. They're going to be fighting in every state in the United States of America. God and the devil. I'm not saying anything about black and white. I said God and the devil is going to be fighting all over the United States of America. At this time, I'm going to take a comment. LambTales.
Yeah, what's up, brother?
Please.
Yeah. Basically, y'all, I just like to praise y'all for teaching, because y'all can cut down tonight. I can understand that, you know, you love mellow. And I really like to praise you for what you're doing.
All praise is due to Allah, brother. For the last message of God, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. But we really appreciate that comment. And as you know, Allah is the black family in the person of the so-called American Negroes as taught by the last message of God. And a lot of us don't want to accept these teachings. But like I say, I admire that Chinaman because he's not going to let Arabs or anyone else come and tell him anything about Buddha. Especially when him and Buddha looks alike. I respect the Indian, although they transgress. And although he may have different animals and different things on the totem pole, he never forgot the fact that on the top of that totem pole is an Indian. I respect these things. But when I look at the so-called American Negro, especially those of us who are fortunate enough to hear and see the messenger of God and follow a righteous man. For those who do not know, when you hear that parable made like, we don't criticize a dirty glass, we just put a clean glass up next to it. I would like to inform the Commonwealth, state, and the world, or whoever will get us watching this program, or whoever will get a tape of this program, that clean glass was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I want everyone to know that he's the only one in the history of Islam as taught by Master Prophet Muhammad that's without spot nor blemish. 2 hours shot from the same glory. That's why they say Allah and his messenger is one. And once we learn this and hold fast to this, those of us that are still striving in the name of the Holy Apostles, then you know we have a firm foundation, because so many of our people are in such a pitiful state of understanding till it just makes you feel real bad to know that a beautiful man like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who loved us. I'm serious, he loved us. He loved us. All you have to do is get any book or any type of history on the nature of Islam as taught by our Savior, Master Prophet Muhammad, and you will see what I'm talking about. And you will look at the nation in the condition that is in today, and you'll wonder why and how these so-called dressed-up Negroes walking around here in America with foreign attire on after the Holy Apostles preached for 40 years that the black man from Asia in the personage of the so-called Negroes is the original man. Original means not to come from something else. It's just like if you get a beautiful diamond, you say, this is a beautiful piece of rock I got here. But the one who gives you that rock says, that's only a chip off the old block. That's not the original. That's where the Mason comes in. When you see these Shriners and Masons, it just chips off the old block. That's all they are. When it started out, it was basically a mockery-making organization to make fun of how the original man lived and his customs and everything that he done. So, sir, hello?
Yes, sir.
What's your comment?
Yeah, well, I have a question for you. Say, I have not converted to the Islamic faith yet,
Yes,
but
sir.
I'd like to, and I need to change my slave name, and I wondered how I could do that.
Well, brother, you know, that has been a problem on LambTales. Everybody say we never tell them how to change their name. I'm going to tell you how I changed my name. And then when I tell you how I changed my name, I'm going to tell you the truth. And then you know why they call GrandDaddy Shabazz a madman. I just stopped using the devil's name. When I was working on the devil's job, I would sign my righteous name. He said, you have to sign the other name or you don't get no check. And I didn't submit to that. I would sign my righteous name because they just said, hey, this must be who this man is. And I've been going under the name of ShabazzAllah for the last 25 years. I've never been in the devil's court. I never asked him to acknowledge me that I was ShabazzAllah. I changed my name the same way he changed Kute Kente's name when he said, your name is no more Kute Kente. Your name is Toby. If you check out a lot of these traitors amongst us who now think that they are larger and bigger than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, sitting up on TV with the Toby cloth on. It's not the Kute Kente cloth, that's Toby cloth. And I see a lot of my people wearing the Toby hat because they're still slaves with a slave mentality. So my brother, that's how you change your name. If you want to come into the Islamic faith as taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, then you be the real winner. Because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings are profound. Like you hear GrandDaddy Shabazz say so many times, the black man doesn't know anything about ever laying in a 6-foot grave. If you will look at us as a people, here in the wilderness of North America at this very moment while I speak, don't look at them as being